Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the technical difficulty. We're going to start the show real shortly while the host is trying to get himself situated. So I'm like you guys know, sorry for the delay, sorry for the technical difficulty. There was some technical issue in the back end. So I'm like you guys know, we are doing fine. So the host will be coming in soon. Head up, Coach K is not feeling well tonight. So she will not be showing up shortly. So please be patient with us while we had them get situated because we want to make sure they have a perfect environment. So there'll be no acting whatsoever because there was some little mic issue, some technical issue along the way. So as me, Black David, the head engineer of the BMU, the Black Men Unfiltered Network, please pardon our tardiness, but we'll work on this issue shortly, all right? So sit back, relax. I will play the song again a couple more times when he's ready. I think he is ready. I'll bring him up, all right? Thank you very much. And here comes the doc himself.
Hey, Doc, hey, what's up, CBN? Thank you so very much, Black David. Appreciate you. Appreciate you much.
Not a problem.
Yes.
Do best at the technical support.
Awesome. Huh? Everyone has a purpose, right?
Yeah, woo. I know that for
Thank you for doing what you do, because I sure wouldn't know what buttons to be pushing. I wouldn't know how to put all that together. I was like,
my mission to make sure the channel become a great channel. That was my mission.
Nice. Although I went to Brown College, I'm a jack of all trades, and I went to Brown College to be a radio disc jockey. I was going to be actually a newscaster.
Hey.
But my New York accent and fast talking and all that, I couldn't say the words right. I was D-bells and do's and dolls and tomorrow.
It can happen to the best of us. It's something you learn along the way.
I'll never forget, man. That was fun. I learned a lot back in those days.
It's good to have that experience.
Yeah.
So let me leave you alone. Let me get back to
all right, boss.
Best.
Fabulous. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Cool. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Get situated here. I'm gonna put on the dual screen, and we'll bring up a couple of people tonight because Coach K is not here, but I did ask some folks from the YouTube streets and universities to come up and join us. So let me see who's here. And we, again, apologize. Black Men Unfiltered Network and our show tonight, we apologize for the delay. Glad for you swinging back through. And I do understand some other content providers will be up at 8 or 8 p.m. Central Time. So totally understand if you have to dip out. We invite you to come back for sure or catch us on the replay. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. And let's have a fun show. The conversation, we plan to talk about relationships, and really about how to have long-lasting, loving relationships. Long, loving, lasting. We'll take out the loving. I think some people hear loving and make that into happy. The loving, if I don't feel loved. So it's important. It's important. But I don't want to get that confused with happiness. So long-lasting relationships that feel loving. So what do you think of that? What do you think of that? Because happiness and all that stuff is not guaranteed joyful. But I think if we look at the core Heard, loved, acknowledged, appreciated. Oh, there's some background noise. Hold on, I gotta mute my mic. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. And I don't know how much noise you hear. The maintenance people are here. All right, so we want to be loved, acknowledged, validated, accepted for who we are. We'll have some challenges, but we're hoping the people that we're with will accept or adjust. Accept or adjust. So I think those are really the core elements that we're looking for in a relationship. As we talk tonight, we'll get more into like, what does that look like? What does it look like? So we'll have long lasting, loving, caring relationships. All right. So let me give some shout outs here. And please chime into the conversation if you have ideas as we're going along. And we'll put up the link here in a minute. Mm-hmm. There we go. All right. So, sorry for that background noise. All right, Crystal Lights in the house, Lost in Translations in the house, beautiful animated. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. Scam Likely Dust, what's up? Thank you for being here. And again, thank you everyone for swinging back through. If you're catching us in the replay, sorry for that noise. Sorry if you're here for the replay. Thank you for swinging through. Please hit the like button. And if you have not subscribed to the network, please do. Like I said, tonight we'll have our queen who was here a few weeks ago, Coach Kim, Chef Kim, Queen, and we've invited the SEDS to pop up. But once we drop the link, if you would like to come up and join in the conversation about relationships, please do. Coach K will not be here tonight, and so we definitely send out vibes of endurance and health and serenity and all those things that help people feel better. Especially when you feel bad, you start, when you feel sick, you feel, right? So we want to give out all the positive energies and wellness to her. So please get better, Coach K. All right. So any thoughts on what it takes to have a long-lasting relationship? Or actually the title, let's look at the title. The title is not just long-lasting, but resilient relationships, resilient. The ability to bounce back, the ability to stay together, the ability to break through cycles, struggle. So, what does it take to have that? What are your thoughts?
Peace and blessings. The question? Ask it again.
It's in the chat. Just a second, I'm hearing echo. Yes.
Give me 1 second. I'll do something.
Do you have a delay here? Like say, okay, yeah, spring. You guys, I know it seems like I'm messing up. I'm sorry, I'm monitoring the show and I'm in the studio, and so I'm there's the delay. So just a second. I see the SEDS are here. I see them in the studio. I don't see them up there. So if you can hear me, Mr. He said and Mrs. She said. Oh, there we go. All right. Welcome. Good evening. I can't see them. I've been not watching the show. It's like a delay. So if I look at that, I'm just way off. So happy you're here tonight. Thank you. I know it was short notice, but I don't want you to feel like you're a substitute or a punting here. You are actually people we thought about to join the conversation about relationships. and what it takes to be resilient. I've often chimed into either a show you've been on, a platform you've been on, or had the privy of hearing the conversation of what I call the Brooklyn love story, what you consider the Brooklyn love story. Yes, quit playing. And I've always enjoyed a few aspects of the relationship. Now, please, I'm not quoting you, but I'm taking away. I'm presenting what I've taken away. I love the fact that we are individuals, but we are there for each other. I love the fact that we are there for each other, and we don't allow a bunch of foolery from the outside interfere our inside. Okay, so we have our kids, we have our values, we have our practices that we engage in, and that's for us, and we protect that. And I think the other key thing, especially in regards to tonight's topic, and I'll give it to you right after I say this, even though we have each other and even though we believe in each other, we still have our own individualism. And sir, I love when you say, and again, I'm not quoting you, but I hear you, but I still have my belief on it, or something like that. Like I hear you, but I still believe what I believe, right? So I don't always subscribe to everything, but I respect what you're saying. So I love that. So anyway, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And welcome. Take it
Thank you.
away.
Thank you for having us, man.
Yeah, it's
Appreciate
always
it.
Yes.
Yeah, ladies first.
join a panel with you. I mean, we
Awesome.
agree. It is something to have resilience, you know, and then coming from just our upbringing, you know, growing up 70s, 80s, you know, you had to be resilient to come up in those streets. So within the relationship, it's the same thing. We absolutely were very realistic and understood the duties and the responsibilities, the challenges. And so many of them, like we say, when you're vetting those conversations, those what ifs, those types of conversations are very important because it can spark something and even cause an argument.
Mm.
And you see the transparency in the person and their thoughts and their views about the future. And it's something that you have to decide young, if it happens young, is this something I'm willing to do? And when you decide to marry, like we chose to do it for one time consciously. You know what I mean? So that's on that with
That part, one time.
Indeed. I wouldn't disagree. Appreciate the kind words, sir. And yeah, that's something that I feel animately that, you know, I agree with everybody, but to a point. You know, it always comes a point where I go off in my own direction. You'll never hear me say I agree 100%. I think it's smoke when I hear other people say it. And the Mrs. is no different. You know, I also say that too. I don't even agree with Mrs. Harris 100% on everything. And that's Mrs. Harris. So, you know, that just comes with the adult carrying card and being a member of being an adult and accepted that reality. Resilience, absolutely. The ability to, you know, withstand and bounce back quickly. This is what life is. This is what the world is. This is what adversity is. You know, there was a movie back in the days, True Grit, you know, one of my favorites. And just the resilience. The young lady was up against a lot. and she was about her money. She was about, you know, waving her flag and standing on her foundation. And that's where character really resides. It doesn't reside in these intangible things, these tangible things. I'm sorry. It resides in intangibles. It resides in integrity, character, morals, values. This is where it lives. So, you know, we now are in this bizarro world where up is down and down is up and good is bad, but we're still going to continue to, you know, honor this name, this Harris name that we have and we all share in common. And we may be wrong. We may have to double back. We may, with new information, change our mind. But we're always going to start from go. We're always going to start from our foundation and be willing to see things another way. But I think, you know, and I'll land my plane here, that's where we as people, we lose our integrity. Everyone is so willing and eager to want to please everybody and not judge anybody and, you know, walk on these eggshells throughout the world. And we have no value, no moral code, no standards. And if you had to stand in front of Nat Turner or Maya Angelou or Sojourner Truth or Josephine Baker and tell them that Black women were getting guns for Black men and Black men were thinking about putting their hands on Black women, they would be flabbergasted. So, you know, that's the flag that we wave. We always going to think about the people that walked before us and made the footprints and the paths for us to be able to walk. So, you know, we love, we love each other. And we love people that want to be together because we are stronger together. Sorry for being so long-winded.
No, that. Please, awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey,
Hey,
Queen.
Queen.
How you doing, sis?
Okay, I think you're on mute. Let's see. Oh,
Should be
Press the
back.
wrong
She'll
button.
come back.
that should be, yeah, she'll be back.
How you doing, Doc?
Grooming him. Hey, I'm doing fabulous. I have a interesting perspective I want to challenge the panel with tonight and those in the chat. See, Grooming and Reviews is here. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. When we talk about love, I ask people, do you know the definition of love? Like I'll ask a bunch of parents, do you know the definition of love? Raise your hand if you know the definition of love. And I ask couples that and they raise their hand. And I say, what's the definition? And they give me their definition. But every blue moon, in most cases, I get I don't know. And I ask, how can you do what you don't know what is? But, you get to create love. But if you created your version and your partner created their version, you grew up on the parents' version. You have now these multiple versions. Which version do I pick? I've always found that interesting. So I'll be picking your brains after Queen here checks in. I'll be picking your brains to see what you think about the idea of loving each other based on your understanding of love and all the other pieces of love that go with it. Lost in Transitions in the house. All right,
How you
Queen,
doing?
welcome. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
We can
I'm
hear
doing
you
good.
now.
Thank you for the invite. Just making sure. Hello, beautiful
Excellent.
king and queen. How y'all doing? And peace to you, newcomer king. How you doing?
Good evening. How are you, Queen?
Lost in translation. How you doing, my brother?
I am well. How y'all doing, Harris? Doc,
All right.
how y'all doing? Good to see
Oh,
y'all.
fabulous.
man.
Fabulous. Good to see you. I like that setup you got going on, man. The shades and the green
Hey, just a little bit,
piece.
man.
Huh? Look
Hey,
at it.
great
Yeah.
minds think alike. You know what I'm saying? That right, Mr.
I
Harris?
like that color
Yeah.
green, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. You guys are doing it, huh? Now, is that Boston green or what? What's up with the green?
That's that New York green.
Lucy,
Yeah.
I got some
Yeah.
blue green.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Queen, it looks like you might be breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or the signal or on your cell signal, but if you're on Wi-Fi, if you're not on Wi-Fi, you're breaking up a little bit. Lost in translation. I'm not sure how much you heard. And the lady Navoa's in the house. What's up? Thank you for being here. Not sure how much you heard. We were talking about this idea of love. The topic tonight is resiliency and how do couples even stay together? How do people stay together? The Harrises broke down that they've been through hell and back, so to speak, but they didn't give up on each other. And they believe in fighting for this institution of love. They didn't call it institution, but this idea of love because it's important to them. I challenge that to say, what is love? So anyway, based on what we're talking about tonight and based on your response, what would you say love is? And why do you think resiliency is important?
Man, let me tell you something. Love is grace. Love is grace, man. Love allows you the space to be courageous in the times of adversity. You understand what I'm saying? Whenever you have a hard time, man, it is a beautiful thing that your spouse allows you grace to grow. I heard Mrs. Harris say one day that she allows Mr. Harris room to make mistakes, and it's okay. And let me tell you something, that is a beautiful thing. That allows him to go out to attack the world without fear. You understand what I'm saying? And for that for him to be able to do that, knowing that he has the full backing of his wife, that allows him to be a man to his fullest potential. And also, and vice versa, he allows her the freedom to do what she needs to do in that covenant. And I think that's a beautiful thing, man. I really do. So to me, love is grace under pressure. Love also inspires. Love also is slow to anger. You understand what I'm saying? It is, and it's quick to listen. You know, love is one of those things, man, that takes time to develop. You know, that trust over time. And once you have that trust and the full faith and backing of your spouse, man, there's no limit to what you guys can do.
I love that.
Yes, and
Some people don't come up on the panels with me anymore. I be throwing these haymakers and different things, so they don't come up too much anymore. So, but because I want I want to throw some haymakers at what you just said. Now, it's not to challenge you, my brother, and it's not to challenge what you just said. It's really for our listeners to figure out how to do what you just said. If love is about appreciation, love is about grace, love is about all these wonderful things. But what if I've never known that? You know how many people in the streets are saying, I can't do what I've never had. I didn't see it. I didn't feel it. It wasn't given to me. So I agree with you on every point you made that love is and relationships should be. My question, and for those listening, how in the HELL hockey sticks do you do that, get it, sustain it?
Oh, that's easy, man. You know, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. Don't always look to see what you can get out of something. Try to look through the eyes of somebody else or your partner, your spouse, and say, hey, how would they feel if I acted this way? You understand what I'm saying? And if you do that, that is a great starting point because it teaches you empathy. And empathy is one of those things that you have to learn over time. You know, say for instance, if Mrs. Harris came home from work and she said, you know what, I had a hard day. I really did. And Mr. Harris said, you know what, baby, tell me about it. You know, I understand you had a hard day. You know, let's talk about it. You feel like talking about it. She'd be like, yeah. And you listen and you don't say nothing and you let her get it out. You understand what I'm saying? Those type of things. And then, you know, it said it must have been hard to experience something like that, you know? And on top of that, you say, hey, look, I know you had a bad day. What is it? What can I do to make the rest of your day a better day? You know what I'm saying? Extending that empathy and that grace is the foundation for love because it allows that person to say, you know, I can be vulnerable with you, you know, even when I'm not my best. So empathy is one of those things that you can start out with that makes love a whole lot easier. You know, it's all about setting up love to do what it does. You know, if you have grace, if you have empathy, that is a fantastic starting point. Even if you don't know exactly what to do, just put yourself in somebody else's shoes for about 5 minutes. And I think it also helps you to understand what exactly grace and empathy is.
absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What you think?
I say communication. First, you got to start with it because if I don't know what it is and you don't know what it is, or I don't know what your version is and what it is and how you receive it, and vice versa. It should start with that part, communicating because by us not seeing it, by us not being around it, of course, our thought process of what it should be like can be very faulty. So if you and your significant other have understanding, or even like you said, just being vulnerable to even talk about, hey, I didn't get this, I'm liking this, love looks like this to me, and you guys are both okay with navigating and learning through each other because love isn't perfect. You know what I'm saying? Love is gonna hurt too. So you have to even be willing to stick those struggles. I'm a cursor, so I'm trying not to let it all. But just communicate because that's the first part. Like you said, just being vulnerable to even share with a person. Like, hey, I don't know what it is. My definition of it is fucked up. But can we talk about what it looks like to you? Can we um talk about it on other levels? Like, of course, emotion is a feeling, but what about it spiritual? What about it in other ways? So, just being real and open with your partner and y'all just being will and willingly ready to explore that because love is different. Love can be changed, you know?
Okay.
Queen, let me
Ab-
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, darling.
Yeah.
How do you receive love? To you,
Mm.
what is love? How do you feel it? How do you know it when you feel it?
Now, love for me because I'm I'm a giver. So with me receiving it, you know what I'm saying, acts of service. But also too though, I kinda love giving things too. So when I receive it that way, of course I get a little bit a little adrenaline rush off of it where now I wanna give it back. And it doesn't have to be sexual. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be um textbook. It don't have to be long. It could just be just the short acts of service and kindness, or like you say, being mindful, or and taking into consideration. If that helps a little bit.
So you said you like to give, right?
Yeah.
And it makes you feel love. What about receiving gifts and receiving things? Do you
It's the
feel
same.
love as well as the same?
Yeah.
And that makes you understand what love is and how you relate to it?
No. It's just it's a trigger, or it's like, how can I explain it? It's something that helps amplify the feeling. So by me giving, and I did it out the kindness of my heart because I mess with people. So if I see that somebody is in need, it can be a hug, it can be cooking, it whatever. If I see that a person is needed, and it can be like my little inner child, receiving it that way too. That's why I say I can receive it by even giving. But just the acts of service. So if somebody gives me something, I know, or I'll take it as, they put some type of thought process into it. So that's what made them care enough to do this.
You know what? Thank you so much for your answer. That was lovely. Thank you for coming out tonight too. We do
No
appreciate you
problem,
coming
man.
out.
Thank
Baby, don't hurt me.
Don't hurt
you. Don't stop. Keep going on. Sing this thing. Don't
That old
stop.
school.
me.
Love is patient. Love is understanding. And I think the most part for me is, like you said, the acts of service consistently. That's the key. And with that comes consideration. So the willingness to listen and listen to learn me over and over again. Because again, we are growing humans, evolving over and over and over again. I will not be 21 again. I'm not going to be 35. I'm not even 40, and you have to realize that and continually move forward gracefully. And it's hard, so knowing yourself is quite important. Being aware of self is important, and being able to articulate your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions to your partner without judgment is important. And if you don't have that, you shouldn't be in a damn marriage. Y'all wasting your time playing around, with your life. Don't do it. Don't try to force something that doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. That circle is not going to go in that square peg ever.
Mhm.
So consciousness of
How?
what you want and what you're willing to give to get that is important.
How? I'm going to consider that our audience are people who have problems, that have trauma or adverse childhood experiences, or came from a perfect parenting situation, but they had an experience in life that shook up at least once where they believed their safety was in question. I believe we have people in the audience who've been handled and tampered with. I believe we have people in the audience who they were told cold water was hot and hot water is cold. I believe we have people who've had step parents. I believe we have people who have parents who didn't show up. They did not show up. They did not show up. I believe we have people who grew up in loud homes, people who grew up in soft homes. You don't talk when dad comes home and he's intoxicated. We don't deal with mom's mental illness, or take care of mom, take care of mom, take care of mom. It's a whole mixed bag. And when we have those elements, then it impacts the way we're able to do the things that we all just talked about. I don't know how to listen because I'm narcissistic. I'm narcissistic because at the root of being narcissistic means to love yourself 100 times more than anyone else loves you, because if you don't, who else will? So because I have that personality disorder, that narcissistic trait, how do I ask my partner, how was your day today? Without 30 seconds into it, yep, in my day, and me, and the brother, me, and me, and me. How can I do that? These are just examples that I think, I could be wrong, that our members, our listeners deal with. So the things sound good, I'm all for it. I'm challenging all of us to think about, how is that possible? How, and I'll give one more. If I had some foolery done by a parent or a loved one, and I experienced betrayal, the power of betrayal turns my ability to love different. I start using substances. I need to be kind of just always in chill mode. My trust, who in the world can I trust once you've been betrayed by someone who's supposed to be your caretaker? And I'll land with this. I then learn, whatever experiences we have, and I'm not saying we are those experiences. I'm not saying we are those experiences. Can we grow past that? Yes. But I have to first be aware. And if you try and tell me my shit stinks, bleep, 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 your shit stinks too. So we get into this competitive stuff versus trying to help each other. And then we get into helping each other, and now we have a therapeutic relationship. We don't have a love relationship. So I just wanted to throw that out there. How do we, what are your suggestions on how we do these things?
I mean, I would piggyback off of Lost in Translation with him, alluding to the empathy and so on. My thing is consideration. I know the textbook definition is, an intense feeling for someone. But I think the consideration, I think having someone in your mind, considering how they would be perceived in your union, how you are presenting yourself and, representing your union. And again, just the consideration of another person and how they would feel, how they move, what they would consider positive and negative images in regards to your relationship and family. I think those things are love. And if you're not at a point where you consider that person's feelings, consider that person's identity based on your actions, based on your movements, then I don't think you're at a point of love yet. And before I land, I would just say, loving yourself, not to the point of narcissism, but I think loving yourself is very important, because when you do that, you won't allow disrespect. People do to us what we allow. So you'll have a certain level of value, morals, and dignity and integrity. And with them, loving you, you'll see the love that they're pouring into you and understand that they deserve that same reciprocation, that same consideration. So now, I would cheat on her if she was a lesser than woman. But since she is a woman that curates my home and had my children and cares about my best interests, and now wouldn't I be hurting myself now? So, again, you gotta have enough love for yourself to understand that a person is pouring love into you and they deserve that love back. And that's when you eliminate the temptation and you eliminate the foolish behavior. You eliminate the spending the family finances in outside sources, because you understand priorities and what's truly important, and how the people that look up to you the most don't deserve to be let down for your selfishness. But I think all of that starts with consideration. And if you're not a big enough person, if you're not, loving yourself enough to understand that the people that pour into you deserve that love back, then I think it's an uphill battle. But with professional help, with unpacking experiences, it's absolutely doable.
Trauma. Like you said, the majority of this country, anybody who's been born has dealt with some type of trauma. And we all deal with it differently. Again, counseling is out there, but counselors need counseling. So that's something to consider as well. And that's hard, because we don't have no one to really build with to help you work through that. Find some of the positive, because we dwell in the negative. A lot of people like to sit in the negative. We made it to 18, we made it to 21, we made it to 30. Like, it's so many things to be grateful for. Because we had a lot of that trauma. I didn't have no daddy. He was not present. So he gave the blueprint of what not to look for in a man. A man that's going to be, all gassed up about my beauty and, oh, she's so beautiful, but you don't come for me. You don't check for me consistently. You understand? So that's a big thing that we talk about. It's a blueprint of what not to do. Neither one of us came from intact families or communities, but we found teams and we found love, in other places to help find out who we were. And like he said, the consideration, that is very important. So, if you haven't dealt with trauma, deal with it before you try to thrust yourself in a relationship and expect your partner to fix it or heal it or make you whole. You have to be whole first. Your cup is full, you pour into somebody else's cup to help overflow their cup.
Indeed.
My flight right there.
Nice. She has a flight.
I'm just on the flight.
I like it.
You know what, Doc? I think I know where you're coming from with this one, man. I put it to you like this. I've experienced a situation where people are not always aware of what they're doing. You know what I mean? I have a friend of mine, every time I talk to her, she always tells me how her day was before I could ask her. You know what I'm saying? And she goes on and on and on and on and on about what's going on in her life. And I asked her, I said, look, I value our friendship, right? I said, when was the last time you asked me how I was doing? I feel like I'm lost in this friendship, because it feels like you only show up when you want to share what's going on with you. And I don't feel appreciated because you never ask me how I'm doing. You don't ever ask what's going on in my life. You understand what I'm saying? So I could probably fall dead tomorrow. You wouldn't even know why. You know what I'm saying? I could be going through some things and you never ask why. And so friendship is like a tennis match, You tell me how your day was, I'll tell you how mine. But you have to ask, you have to invite people into the conversation. So I said, you never invite me into our conversation. It's always you. I know sometimes you're not always aware of it. And the reason why I'm bringing it to your attention is to let you know that friendship is a two-way street. You understand what I'm saying? You have to make sure that you take care. When I pour into you, I expect a little something back. You know what I'm saying? I like Luther said, I take something for myself. I don't want to have to brag on myself all the time. I want you to ask. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm going to ask you. I'm inviting you into my space to find out how you're doing. And what I've noticed is that you never invite me into your space to ask me how I'm doing. And it doesn't make me feel needed. It doesn't make me feel wanted. It doesn't make me feel appreciated. And normally when I break it down like that, you know what? I had no idea that I was doing that. I said, I know. I said, most people are like that, but going forward, so as soon as, I'm aware of what you're doing and I made you aware of what you're doing. Does that make sense?
And that's the beauty. Piggyback on both of y'all. When you start, it starts with the love that you give yourself, because then now everybody can see how it is that you move, what it is, and how it is that you treat yourself. And then now they have the blueprint of, I like how she's moving or he's moving. So then now I know how to move too. But if you don't have that basis of at least loving yourself, then you can run into so many different people that here it is, you're saying, how are you doing? And the part of their self-love is being selfish. So if you didn't have that conversation with her, she would have never been aware. Or you would have found out that, part of her self-love and her blueprint is herself. And that right there could be tied into the trauma, like the Queen said, and like Doc said. So we teach people to treat us a certain type of way, but it's crazy because we also try to do it and be mindful to teach people to treat us the way that we want to be treated. But does that really mean that we're treating them, you know what I'm saying, the way that they deserve to be treated? Does that mean that we're treating ourselves the way that we deserve? So if we don't know, I would say the first thing is to get aware. Get your mind space together with it. So then that way you can know that when we're talking about love with your significant other or even with yourself or your homies, hey, love to me is this. Love to you is that, because everybody has their own definition due to the way that they was brought up and how they receive it and look at it. But I still say communication, because I never know how you would like to be loved. I never know, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm loving myself properly, if we're not talking about this shit, like maybe I need to go back to the drawing board and fix and retweak this part that I thought was love, because maybe it's not, and maybe that's rooted with some trauma shit that I got to work on.
And most grown people, we don't like correction, because just the way Lost in Translation put it, this is how my husband put it to me. Simply, you're kind of self-absorbed. Now, I don't even remember the words, but pretty much that kind of conversation, and just making me aware of self. Because like you said, I was one of them persons. I didn't realize the self-absorption always bringing conversations back to myself. I wasn't aware, but I was a talker. I want you to know, I'm gonna tell you everything, and he was listening, but it got to a point where I wasn't reciprocating that. And the way you did that, that's exactly how he would speak, so a man doesn't have to be mean and boisterous and angry when they're trying to express that this is how you're making me feel, or, you have feelings, sir. I appreciate it.
But not like you say, 2 point, we got to stop making it about us too, because that right there is the ego part. So I want to be heard. Well, then you need to be heard too, and especially if we're gonna work on our love, because our love language is rooted in all of this. We got to do better.
Let me. I'm gonna talk to this about communication. Let's talk to that in a moment, but let's give a couple shout outs here. We have Can I Get Some Podcast has offered a very kind super chat here with, it says, the downfall of a lot of relationships is unrealized, unexpressed expectations due to a lack of communication. This ends with the inability to consider your partner's perspective during disagreements. Can I Get Some Podcast? Thank you so very much for the $10 super chat. Thank you. Right? Can we get some? There you go. All that.
I got you, Doc.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
There we go.
Yes. Thank you. But in addition to that $10 super chat, what you said, I think, is so profound. The communication, the listening to what's being said, what's not being said. How are we disagreeing? You hit some key spots. And I'd like to address that and what the Queen was saying about communication. I also see that we have Freezy Freezy. What's this whole thing? Because every time I say his name, I think of who we want. Freezy. Who you the doom Freeze. So yeah, every time I think of his name. But yeah, no captivity. No captivities in the house. Always an honor to have you here and this space with us. So thank you. Glad to have you here. Communication. M. Mills. I saw your name. Welcome. And thank you for being here with us tonight. Much appreciate that. Much appreciate it. Salute to you. Communication. I was taking some note while we were talking. I want us to think about, there are several different communication styles. So there are some people who are passive aggressive. They may not even realize that. But some people are passive. They don't even they just allow almost anything. We have a few out there who really know how to be assertive. But what I wrote down is, really, do we understand actually kind of the pros and cons of communication? A lot of times we say that word, we should communicate. 1 billion% agree. But I want to throw out there for all of us to consider and to chop it up. Do we understand the impact if the communication is not effective? So what are the things we get from communication? I'm just going to rattle some of this off. we can find intention in our communication. We can offer our intention in communication. But what's the pros and cons if you don't understand someone's intent or if someone has some wicked intent? Now, we can't control that. I'm just saying that's part of communication. You know, I'm a texter. I intentionally say sometimes I need to call, and I got away from calling. The texters, pending your style of communication, are you truly being heard? Do people understand the tone and what it is that you're saying? You know how many messages, you know how many conversations have just gone bad because the people didn't understand what you were saying. You fat fingered it, you abbreviated it, you put your own meaning to it, you created new words. Do we understand? Thoughts. Are we communicating our thoughts, or what we want you to think? Are we communicating our thoughts or what we want you to think? Communication. Are we talking about our feelings, or are we getting, one of my skill sets with my clients is I don't get all caught up in the feelings. They throw these flares out there and they want me to, I done lost, I lost what they're trying to say, right? Now I stay focused. I could listen for half an hour and come right back to that thing you said a half an hour ago. Oh, come on, man. You still. So, but are we really talking about our feelings, how we truly feel? Or are we talking to control and manipulate someone else's feelings? This is all part of communication. Again, I totally agree. I just want to throw some things out there. There's nonverbal communication and body language. What are we looking like when we're listening? What does your listening face look like? Resting bitch face, attitude face, smiley face. You got me bleep bleep up face. And when you're waiting for your turn, what does that wait look like? Are we paying attention? Yeah, huh? What did I just say? Come on, are we paying attention? What does your listening face style look like? I just got a few more of these. Verbal. Sometimes it's not what's said, it's how we say it. It's not always what we say, it's how, and sometimes people get caught in their passionate ways. Right? I'm going through some theatrics right now. I don't want anyone to get all worked up. I'm getting worked up on purpose. But and I don't know what the volume is going to do for you. You know, sometimes we know the people who they have to be animated, not beautifully animated, but sometimes we have to be animated when we talk. Y'all got me, right? Sometimes we gotta. But if I don't know the person I'm talking to might feel threatened by all that, then are they even listening to me? They might just be waiting for the wrong move so they can whop in my throat, right? They might just be waiting for the wrong move, or they might be ready to retaliate with matching the aggression. And then you got someone who just sit there peacefully and quiet, and you feel like a damn fool because you went through all the. Y'all know what I'm talking about, where the person just went through, and the listeners just.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Let's got a couple more of these. Let's got a couple more of these. Tone. And when you don't know what you don't know and you're putting it out there like it's truth, you're caught into these cognitive distortions. You're not even speaking truth. You're caught up in what you've been patterned, what you've been structured, your core beliefs, how they've been cemented, and you're offering things all in the name of communication. But is it true, authentic communication, or is it with an attempt to be right? Because you could be right and still be wrong. And you could be wrong, but low key, you know that you're right. So I just want to throw that out there because I wholeheartedly believe in communication, absolutely. But I want us to think about, and what I did, and if people want to do it at home or wherever, I just put the word communication there in the middle. And then let's start like going around it like a word puzzle, like a word cloud. And I just start putting all the different things that comes with communication. And then you can figure out where you land in that, or you can figure out where you're not for them. You don't need to analyze, but you can figure out, when we talk, I notice you prefer to text, I prefer to voice. I notice when we talk, I say one word wrong or one word something, and you're so sensitive. Oh, I can put that on the list, sensitive. So just something to think about, just the challenge I put out there about, are we aware that sometimes communication doesn't work because of these things? What do we think? What are thoughts?
Who wants to be told that they wrong? Especially when we've been wrong all this time. So you mean to tell my communication? But again, part of the growing and the development is, well, shit, I'm aware of it. So now I know better. I can try better to do better, to get better. Like Rome wasn't built in one day. So at least I can acknowledge that this is the fuck up, and I can do one or two things. I can care enough to work on this shit and fix it with you, or I can be ignorant and just stick to the, hey, I don't know no better, so ain't nobody teach me. Who's gonna have the time to teach somebody else?
You good?
Yep, you got this.
Yeah, for me, it's relative to kind of like music, being an MC, a master of ceremony or speaker, valedictorian. I believe the obligation is on the speaker. If they don't get it, then you have to reword it, you have to repackage it, active listening, you have to rephrase, paraphrase, you have to let them understand that you're listening, body language, all of the stuff that you mentioned, all important. But for me personally, I think that knowing your audience, and that puts more emphasis on you as a speaker, because you have to broaden your vocabulary, broaden your approaches, your perspectives, analogies, whatever you use to get your point across, but you may have to repackage and redeliver, and that's understandable. But I think an expectation is where relationships go wrong. I believe you guys are right. The communication, all of those things are important, but the expectations, I don't expect anything. And I'm married to this woman for over 25 years. And expectations lead to letdowns. Because if it don't go the way I expected it in my head, and I can have a really sophisticated head, it could be a lot going on up here that's expected.
Yeah, ladies.
So, I've always operated with no expectations. Now, I am grateful. I will express what I want, what I need. And that's why, the closed mouth don't get fed cliche comes in. So I think, again, loving yourself and speaking up for yourself, knowing how to orate and articulate for yourself. And again, loving myself, I wanted to know words. Everybody's not from Bed-Stuy. I might be in a business room one day. I want to be able to articulate. And I may be on the corner one day, know what I mean? And I want to be able to be that guy that can go from boardroom to street corner and don't miss a step with anybody. And it's the same in my family. I want to be a dad. I want to be a husband. I want to be a brother. Like, this is the love of self that I talk about. We so sophisticated when it comes to where we eat at. You see a girl don't want to eat at Cheesecake Factory? So sophisticated. Tell her to give you a synonym, a metaphor. And it's just, the belts that we wear, the flights that we catch, all of those things sophisticated. But the family that we raise, do we got encyclopedias in the house? Do we have a law dictionary in the house?
You know what they are.
Like, we keep so many books for learning. And not learning what some white person tell us. Learn alternatives for eating, alternatives for living, alternatives for children. And this is just knowledge. We want to know stuff because knowledge is like a grain of sand. For every little bit you get, it's a whole bunch you don't got. So in order for us to be parents, to break the cycle, to break the curses, we had to have these tools inside of us and outside of us. So our kids know they're what's most important to us. And that's why we waved the flag that we waved, because we understood when the minute they came out of her, it was no longer about us anymore. And that's just like you saying in the conversations, once you give your how my day went, naturally, chronologically, Humanly, it should be, how was your day in return? But, you know, again, if we expect the world to be our oyster, if daddy told us we was a princess and everybody else is just to bow to our whim, if we were told we were a little king and the man of the house at 6 and everyone is supposed to listen to us because, you know, we're Libras or we're Cancers and it's just the way our nature is. Again, all of these excuses for people to expect the world to bend to their whim. And again, I think that's where you go wrong, is the expectations. I think the only thing we should expect is to not be here one day. And we should treat everybody else that we come in contact with that expectation. And I'll land my plane right there.
Mm-hmm. Communication grows, y'all, over time. I came from that hood ghetto cussing. I could not speak without cursing. Okay, before Mr. He said walked around and he said it just like that, like, you can't talk without cursing. I was like, no, what the fuck's the problem? Like, for real, you know? So you can tame yourself, you know, and I never wanted to. And when I started having nieces and nephews, I didn't want to be around them talking like that, because if they talk to me like that, they're going to deal with the repercussions. You understand? I had that mindset. So before we even started having children, so you got to know your audience. Had to learn that I cannot go everywhere with that type of mouth. And I actually got offended when he would say words that I didn't freaking know. And it's like, what? Now you trying to make me feel stupid? You trying to make me feel stupid? No, you feel stupid on your own because you don't know the vocabulary. So in order for you to get better, you're going to have to pick up more books, which I was a reader, you know, but for somebody to tell me, the smartest person in my family, that I need to get smarter, you know, I felt insulted. But he was absolutely right. Because now look, grown kids, and we down to the last one, and I'm homeschooling since 1st grade. So it was always something that was going to happen, you know, and I was ready to step into that role with no hesitation, you know, because I upgraded myself and my educated mind and started to find my vocabulary and my voice without acting like a hood rat. You know, I'm just saying. So growth is important.
Yeah, appreciate you.
You know what, Doc? I used to do sales a long time ago. And one of the ways that I wanted to get good at, I'm good at verbal communication, but I wanted to get good at physical communication as well. And one of the things that I picked up from a psychologist is that when you first meet someone, you look them in their left eye. And she explained to us why. She said, most people are right-handed, okay? And what happens is when a mother nurses her child, she holds them in the left. And there's a connection between that person and their mother. So they develop a closeness to that person's mother when they're nurturing them. So when you look at someone and you want to gain their trust, you look them in the left eye, and it works. And also, whenever you're having a difficult conversation with someone, instead of looking across from them, you sit next to them as if it's you and them against the world or whatever that problem is. And it's that closeness that allows that person to feel that you understand where they're coming from. Basically, you're mirroring exactly what they're experiencing. And it actually gives a nonverbal position of agreement, nonverbal position of empathy as well, too. Sometimes you can show empathy through nonverbal communication by how you sit. You know what I'm saying? Those type of things. So those are some of the techniques that I've learned over time to make me a more effective communicator non-verbally as well as verbally. And of course, there's other things that you have to learn over time when you talk in sales. You know, you use we language. You know what I mean? You elicit questions. You rephrase what they just said to make sure that you understand. You know, those type of things. So basically what you're doing is you're letting that person know, you have my full attention, and I'm here and I'm listening to what you're saying. So that also helps too. So what it does, it creates little ripples where you communicate trust in that particular person because you're listening to that person and you let them get out whatever it is they need to get out. And then once you're done, you say, hey, is that it? Is there anything else I can do to help you out in this particular situation? And most times they'll be like, no, that's good. Thank you so much for listening. I said, my pleasure, you know, and it's how you speak. You know, sometimes you want to speak in low tones to give comfort certain times. And there are also certain times where you should have elevated speech. You know, when they're excited about something happening to them, you match that energy. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing worse than something good happening to you and you get around their friends like, oh, okay, so what? You want me? No, you know, congratulations. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. And then to see if they came around me, so you want $1 million? What you gonna do first? I already know you're gonna pay all your bills first. So you know you're gonna tell a lot of people to kiss your ass. You understand what I'm saying? And then after that, what you gonna do? You gonna buy your mama a house? Oh man, she gonna love that. I can imagine, man, she looking out on her back porch, looking at all this woods, and she gonna be out there by the lake. Oh, she gonna have a good time. I know you're gonna do right. So you get down in that person's exuberance as well too. Communication, man, is a art that never ends. It's just like Mr. Harris talked about, man. You have to educate yourself on things like that to make you a more effective communicator. And it's a never-ending saga. You can always get better at communicating. So I appreciate you, Mr. Harris, for saying that, because that reminds me of how we're supposed to grow all the time and every day, and don't get stagnant in communicating.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
I love it. I love it. If I may, I'll give a shout out. We have donut. Me have donut. I like that name. So it's all boils back down to consideration. How much you care to tell or understand of others how we feel about the important things in our life, even if they see it as small things.
Absolutely.
Yes. Me have donut. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for being here. Brother Von Bryant is in the house. Thank you for being here. See, you guys are lighting it up in the chat. Thank you so much for having that conversation. Please, if you have not, hit the like button as we're talking about relationships, being resilient, how to make them work, offering some tips and tools here. Coach K is not with us here tonight. She's a little bit under the weather, so snaps out to her, vibes of healing for her. But we continue the show and want to do a good job, make her feel impressed. Hopefully she's listening at home. You get it. So, but praise out to you, Coach, that you feel better. Lost in translation, I wanted to say, oh, sorry, go ahead, sir, Mr. Harris.
Nah, I just sent out a feel better to the coach. Feel better, coach.
Absolutely. Lost in translation, when you were talking about, you know, to have this exchange. And I love that we all agree that expectations is the quickest way to disappointment. But here's a trap I want to invite us to think about. And so often when I speak, I talk about the before. It doesn't always have to be about the before. But here's a trap. If at one point I didn't feel listened to, and I feel like I didn't have a voice and I didn't have choice, and now I'm at the stage, or I'm positioned in life where I do have voice and I do have choice. But what I put out to the universe, I may not realize what it does to the listener. And what I mean by that is, if I'm a passive aggressive speaker, communicator, 1 minute it's cool, I say things like it's good, it's nice, next minute I'm biting your head off. Do I realize that the person I'm talking to might actually feel upset when they talk to me even before we have the conversation?
Absolutely.
Even before we have, in fact, they might even change what they want to say, their approach, all kind of things, because they're projecting. They already have it scripted out, what you're going to say, how you're going to act. And sometimes I just don't want to be involved in the foolishness. And when you think about it, like, I wasn't even about to be foolish with it. No, but go ahead, give you time, wait for it, and bam, see, there you go. So we prepare. We get frustrated, tired. Some people, their anxiety go out. You ever start a conversation, but the tone is familiar? Hey, can we talk? Oh, shit, here we go. Right? Just, can we talk? When you get a chance. Last time we got a chance. For you lovers out there, you ever had a chance and it turned to like a quick, it's supposed to be just a, you know what I'm talking about, right? But you just needed a quick, anyway. Or we get into defensive. You ever get into what did I do? Here we go. What did I do? What did I do? I talk about pouring intimacy into each other. What if I call my lady in the room and say, hey, come here, real quick, come here. And I just wanted to tell you, I love you. Oh, come on, man. You play too much, man. You done brought me back here. And why am I playing too much? Because they were already prepared for what did I do. Few more of these because that's the passive aggressive. But what about a passive style? What is that really? What do we do for our list? People who want to listen to us, but we have a passive style. It increases the risk, the idea of abandonment. I don't think you have boundaries. You go to work and you have that work husband, that work wife. I don't think you can actually even say no. So it actually increases my concerns for you because I got to care about you. I got to care about all these different things. I don't think you know how to stand up for yourself, stand up for our family, speak. Come on, I'm not going to always, and we get frustrated because we know we can't always be there for that person to do all the talking for them. And I have to trust that you know how to do that or how to speak. It can lead to people feeling frustrated, stuck, annoyed. So you didn't see anything wrong with that, huh? You didn't just yeah, just giggling and shit always. You're just giggling. And we don't but that passive style, but where did they pick it up? I'm not responsible for their style. I don't know how they got that style, but I'm stuck with dealing with that style. So a lot of times my projections, even before we have a conversation, I've already accepted that their style is X, Y, and Z. And then let me do that last one, aggressive. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. But I don't want to say shit. You taught me real quick and hurry not to just you taught me to keep my mouth closed. No need of me. You know what? You're always right. You're right. Well, why should I even say anything? Because you're always right. And then it could lead to people feeling hurt, attacked, disrespected, unappreciated, and pissed. You doing all that yelling and stuff, but go ahead. Or you ever talk to someone, their answer, they believe the lie so tough that they think they're telling the truth? They believe the lie so tough they think they're telling the truth, and they're saying stuff that you're like, and they say in order to feel heard, because they're used to people like you listening. They're used to you people listening like this. So then they start aggressive. You can have all them faces you want. I'm trying to tell you. And this is not everyone. I'm just being theatrical, but I'm trying to. But that's why, because I know you're not. Wow. But anyway, just consider our style of communicating and what we might be putting out there. In addition to the actual communication, what are we kind of putting out there in the universe? How are we being received? And what impact does that have on your listener? Does that use lost in translations term? Does that make sense?
Yeah. You know what, Doc? I love what you said about projection because projection works the other way around too. Say, for instance, that person say, go ahead, you always got all the answers or whatever. You know what I'll usually do? You know what I appreciate about you? You are a fantastic listener and you always have great ideas. You know what I mean? I'm so glad that you're my friend because you always listen to what I say. My thing is this, what do you think about this particular situation? Because I want to hear what you got to say. And then you shut up. Because they're not going to say that they're not a good listener. They're not going to say that they're not a good friend. You know what I'm saying? You already got a built-in buy-in. You understand what I'm saying? So at that point, they're going to have to do one or two things. A, they're going to have to accept the fact that you already let them know, hey, you're a fantastic listener. They're already going to have to accept the fact that you always got great ideas. So now you put them on the spot. They don't have time to be mad anymore. They have to come up with a great idea because you just said they always have great ideas. And at that moment, they have to release what they're holding on to so they can give out and say what needs to be said that really needs to be said on the inside. I use it all the time. It's fantastic.
And stay consistent with that.
Correct.
Because we don't, right? Because we get into switching the job description, right? Because we did that. We presented it and it felt good. Like, wow. Like you threw me off. Yeah, go ahead. What's up? You threw me off. But then, and when we default though, right? So love what you said. Just want to add that one tagline of stay consistent with what Lost in Translation just said.
Correct.
Queen, what do you think?
I'm listening and I'm really, because everything is hitting home. You know what I'm saying? You know, a couple of topics. You're like, oh, this sounds a little familiar. And again, you know, I would say just being open. You know, knowing that you know we're humans, we fuck up. Okay, I am a little bit more aggressive when I listen. Being mindful of it, so then that way you can go through and not only change it for the situation in the moment, but change it overall. Because if you're doing this to one person, ain't no telling how many people that you're doing this situation to um, unwillingly. So I'm just taking back and taking heed to all the free game on this topic right here because I felt as though you know a lot of it was for me. So you know that's where I'm with it. Just listening, practicing.
I mean, I think all great information. You can always put that in your tool chest and it's all operative. But for me, I think the good friend at the top of the list is going to constitute the rest of the things falling into place: the body language, open posture, being receptive, giving a decent feedback. But I don't know if I want it to be cherry flavored or strawberry flavored. I think a real friend, you know, of course, I don't want them to be insensitive or disrespectful, but at the same time, I need them to be realistic. And if I'm coming to them and expressing a situation, I definitely want them to give me medicine that's going to get me better, that's going to get the situation better. And it might not be the kindest worded. And, you know, in the professional world, I think all of this absolutely applies. You know, we have to be receptive, have to be empathetic and open to information. But when it comes to my good friends, I think how you word it, posture, tone, all of those things are important, but I think the message is the most important. So I think that's what I would cling to, you know, definitively. And again, you know, us as people, I think we can get over the temporary hiccups that we have in conversation. I think that with new information, you can change your mind. So, you know, like I said, if it's not put the most sensitive way, if it's not, you know, very cookie cutter, I can understand that. If it's helpful information, that's going to make the situation better. But other than that, I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. You know, projection, perception, and all of the rest of those things that come into play are very important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree with all of y'all. Never been one who cared about how it was delivered. I don't know if it's because I was the baby child, so I got to see all kind of deliveries. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was never shocked or surprised. The only ones I got offended was with him. I swear, even with my mother, like as a child, brothers, anything, it was really more so him. I didn't want to disappoint him, I guess, in some sense, in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that because it kept me on my toes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to keep this man around. So I'm going to consider him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Now, Mrs. Harris, if I may ask, and it doesn't have to be about you or if you know of others, when I hear you say that, I it sounds like you knew what you wanted. You saw that it was in this man, and I'm going to adjust accordingly. But I wonder sometimes, even with our greatest intentions, because I agree with you. You know, it's not really about having it packaged so nice and neatly. And in the streets that I work in, I'm teaching people how to package that nice and neatly, so they can eventually get to that, right? But once we have it and we're together and we know each other, that's nice. But is the message? But I wonder if any of these things, if you think any of these get in the way, if they've gotten in your way, any of us or in the chat, our emotions, our senses of insecurity, our perception. Sometimes I think we might put off that we're more insecure than we really are, or we're less capable than we really are. And we perform out of this perceived helplessness. right? Out of this perceived helplessness because we really believe that we're just that weak. Worry gets in the way, ego gets in the way, ignorance, we just know everything, every damn thing. Stupidity, disingenuous behaviors or acts, and just being disingenuous, poor introspection, poor communication, learned communication styles from others, because I don't have enough of my own identity. I take on other people's stuff, and I'm going to try and use that with. It might actually end up destroying what I have, but I thought it looked good from a different angle. For someone else, it looked good. And then unrelenting standards. Unrelenting standards. We have those, and it could actually impact what the person is trying to offer us or what we could have because of my unrelenting standards. So I don't know if any of those hit home or what you think about those, or if you witnessed other people who attempted to have good connections, good, healthy connections, pure, real, but these things got in the way. Hard-headedness. What do you think?
Yeah, I had to have one of them hard conversations today with a friend of mine. Her boyfriend had a change of plans that was supposed to, spend the weekend together. But
Lost LIT, hold on, just before you go, because I was on the heels of Mrs. Harris's comment, and I wanted to know if you just hold for a quick second, I don't want her to lose what she said. All right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Everything you said, absolutely spot on. I met him when I was 20 years old, and not just me, but I've seen multiple people. I think we all go through just that, all of those different things. Worry, learned behavior, learned reaction, all of those things will come into play in a relationship, and it's how you get through it. It's how you take that critique. Are you willing to accept that critique? Do you see it? Did you notice? You want to look in the mirror and ask that question to yourself while you're looking yourself dead in the eye? A lot of people don't do that. You're fixing your hair. You're really asking yourself those serious questions when you're looking yourself in the mirror. That's the best part. After it's been asked to you, go and ask yourself. You got to sit in our shit sometimes, and it's hard to do that when you don't want to accept it. You don't want to acknowledge that you are affecting someone else. By all of those, being insecure, being disingenuous, being uneducated, being unwilling to learn, being unwilling to listen, being unwilling to cooperate. Like, I can go on forever, just shut the hell up sometimes and take it, sit in it for a little bit, because you are not perfect. None of us are. And we got to grow and develop. And that's just life. And when you are living in reality, you know that it's never going to stop, ever. So, welcome to the real world.
Right. All right. Thank you. Lost in translation? Thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to capture that from Mrs. Harris. What were you saying, brother?
My apologies, sir. I had to mind my manners.
Oh, no. We're here together, man. We're family, so.
No, you're right. But I still want to make sure that I give Mrs. Harris her credit and her due and her respect. So I want to make sure I'm in line. So no, like I was saying earlier, and to piggyback off what she just said, I had a friend of mine who had a situation where she made plans with her boyfriend or whatever, and he couldn't make it. And so she went off on him, you know what I'm saying, and had a bad day. So I'm going to take back all his birthday stuff. I said, don't do that. You know what I mean? And they said, why did you go off on him? Because the plans change. I said, let me ask you, what's your ultimate goal? Your ultimate goal is to get married, right? Okay. I said, what you're doing right now, how you're acting right now, is you're setting the tone for how he's going to trust you in the future. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't think about right now. Sometimes you got to think long term. So anytime he comes to you with something bad and you go, he has the inkling that you're going to go off, he's going to hold stuff away from you. He's not going to tell you everything because he's going to already say, I already know how she's going to act. I said, what you should do is you say, you know what? We'll just, make other arrangements next week when you have time available. That's fine by me. You know what I mean? And when you do that, you set your tone for your relationship where he can talk to you about anything. And there's no better relationship in where you can actually tell them anything, without that judgment, without that sting. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with people where they'll say, just like my mama did. You know what I'm saying? You don't never listen, that type of thing. And people run with that. But sometimes you got to think with the end in mind first. You see what I'm saying? So each interaction that you have with that person, they're going to remember how you acted when they had something hard to tell you. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't, at first, it wasn't she didn't receive it. You know what I mean? And after a while, she said, you know what, you're right. I said, I know. You know what I mean? You just mad right now and upset. I said, but remember, whenever he comes at you, don't do that. I said, remember, you're supposed to be the nurturing one, you know? And trust me, he wants to spend time with you. He just, couldn't. It was outside his thing. And it's going to be times where you're not going to fulfill something that he needs you to do. And you're going to want him to extend that very same grace to you. So remember, what you put out, you're going to get back. How you start is how you finish. So I want you to make sure that you start right, and give her those little tips and things. I'm a little bit older than her, so I have to make sure you have to think about the end in mind first. And then once I broke it down to her, because I wasn't sugarcoating, I was like, hey, woman up. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. I know you hear man up all the time, as I'm telling you, woman up, because y'all going to have a whole lot of harder conversations along the line than just a difficult, you couldn't make it this time, Get practice doing now and learn some other stuff along. Get better at communicating. Use your time effectively. That type of thing. Don't always watch all the tabloids or whatever, because that's not helping you grow your family if you're always watching what other people are doing and they're not explaining to you why they're doing it. You're filling your mind with other things that's not going to be fruitful for your relationship. You understand what I'm saying? Learn how to communicate. Learn how to use verbal and nonverbal communication. Get better at being a better partner. Use your time wisely, because you don't know when you're going to need it. You see what I'm saying? So once I explained it to her that way, she was like, yeah, you're right. And I was mad at you at first because you wouldn't let me whine. I said, I know. But I built up enough trust with you. I'm not going to lie to you, because I have no reason to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? And what I've told you has worked. She was like, yeah, you're right. So just one of them things. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know and we'll talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, oh, okay, I understand. Yeah. And after that, she went and talked to him or whatever, and then smoothed it on over. So they'll be, fixing whatever it is that they have to do next week. I said, you weren't feeling good, no way. As this is an opportunity to let you get, healed up or whatever it is you need to get past this, a little sickness. And then once you're with them, you'll feel a whole lot better. And it'll be a better experience. So sometimes you got to look at things in this proper perspective. So helping her to understand how to look at things in this proper perspective, and also how to handle people in tough situations, is something that we don't always get a chance to learn from somebody else. It's like you talked about earlier, Doc. Sometimes you don't always have somebody that's there. Sometimes you don't always know what to do. You know what I mean? But at the same time, when somebody's in your corner and they've built up the trust and the cachet, it would do you some good to listen from time to time. So those are just some of those things that we have to do when we're around our friends to help them get better along the way, even though they can't see what they're doing because they're in it. Sometimes we have to be on the outside and say, hey, look, I know how you feel. You know what I mean? I felt the same way, but let me tell you what I found out. That's what I use: feel, felt, and found. You know what I'm saying? And then recap it and say, hey, look, it's all in how you look at it. This may be.
What'd you say? Feel? What'd you say? Feel around and what?
Yeah, feel, felt, and found. I know how you feel. See, you're empathizing. You know what I mean? I know how you feel. I have felt the same way. So you sympathize and you empathize. But let me tell you what I found out, and then you recap it and explain to them, hey, this is what's really going on. People don't care what you know. They want to know what you care.
Right. Mr. Harris, before you jump in, or Queen, before you jump in, if I may just respond to what the ending of that, usually with the clients that I'm dealing with and people even in my personal arena, and I'm sure I'm guilty of this too. That stuff you just said, lost in translation, sounded so good that what people sometimes say?
What's that?
See, that's that bullshit. That's that shit right there, huh? That's that. See, I'm getting, hold on, because I'm getting caught all over my feels right now. I'm getting all over my feelings. That's that book. And because but listen, it felt, it didn't only feel good, it felt good, right? Because even using your words, feel, felt, and found. But I feel you. I felt that you felt me, and I felt found by you. And that's the type of shit I'm not used to. I'd rather dig deep with you on the toxic level.
Okay.
I'd rather dig deep with you on your trauma and my trauma, and we bond. When you say stuff like that, it's too soft, it's too loving, it's too caring. It's what I want. It's what I want. But I'm used to that bullshit. See, you on that, you just, and then where's the trickery? Because I have to be prepared, right? Stay ready to be ready.
Right.
I have to be prepared for the trickery that's coming behind. You said some smooth shit. You must want some cheeks. What's going on? Like, because it doesn't come for free. It must have been some foolery behind it. And so I know you weren't saying that, but I was listening like, damn, that's smooth. Like, it got me warmed up. And then I was thinking, hold on for a second. That actually scares people. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying it's like I know people who would be shook by that. And they're so uncomfortable in their own kind of pants that then they have to almost push you away. They would actually spend time away from you because I need to kind of figure out what that really meant. No, I wasn't up to nothing. I was sincere. But out of protecting you, I need to stay away. Out of protecting me, I need to stay away. Or now I'm judging where I think you were going because it just sounded so comforting. Again, not everyone's like that. Not everyone. But there's a good number of people.
I'm glad you said that, Doc, because the comeback for that is, what do you have better?
Say more. So you would have said something smooth, feel, felt, and found.
Right.
I come back with, that's that bull, blah, 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 blah. And then,
what do you have that's better? Tell me, because I'm pretty sure you got some ideas. You got great ideas, Doc. I want to hear what you got to say because I'm willing and open to learn. Tell me what you would have did.
See, that's that bullshit. Because see, now you trying.
You hear what I said?
Yeah. No, I mean that was good. Like, oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But these is all the skills that come with, you learning your people. Because if you don't have these kind of conversations, you won't know if they're aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Or the person won't learn, you know what I'm saying? Hey, this right here is a bogus defense mechanism that I'm using to avoid and get out of a conversation. Because I don't know how to have a conversation. So being patient with the people, especially when both of y'all are learning, because y'all are learning how to communicate with each other, but also too, y'all are learning y'all messed up ways. So then that way, when y'all do have a conversation, you can softly look me in my eyes and say, you know what, love, that's not what I was saying. I see that this triggered this part right here, and that had nothing to do with it. And now we can build a better rapport on how we want to communicate with each other in the future. So it's gonna come a part where you're gonna have to learn that my passive aggressive or my that's that foolishness, or you know what I'm saying, a motherfucker catching feels and I ain't trying to. That's my defense mechanism. But if we're not in tune to communicate, you will never know that. You will just think that I'm on BS. And vice versa, we don't get a chance to learn to fix and grow and develop. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just seeming like we doing this stuff just to be heard and point out, there you go right there messing up. And I knew that you was gonna do that stuff anyway because that's what everybody else do. Versus when y'all are actively, okay, it's not about me. It's about our common goal, and our common goal is this. Okay, let's put our egos to the side. Let's not make it about that. And you know what? We can even take a 3-minute second, cool down, just so I wasn't talking about your mama when I made this statement, and I know you wasn't talking about the kids. Let's just cool down and then try to come back another way. But sometimes if the only communication that we know is, but you get that. Okay, like you said, Mr. Harris, love, I hear the animosity and it's from this. I'm going to need you to calm that shit down. And if you got the right person, I'm going to calm that shit down. And y'all going to find another way of talking about it. So, it's all still baby steps in growth and development, because you still have to go through this to even learn that about a person. And that was the only reason why your friend was able to receive your message that way, is because she knows that, you know what, yeah, you may be on his side right now, but I know and I trust that my friend was not going to steer me wrong. I didn't want to hear it at this moment. And sometimes we like that. Give me a minute. I got to go back and have a moment with myself to reflect. Hey, you should have listened to this. You don't always got to be this way. But that's still part of the acknowledging, growing, and then doing better for me.
That was well put. You got anything, Mrs.?
Well, they all said some great stuff.
Yeah. For me, it was the where Lost in Translation landed his plane. The people, don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I love it. I love it. I just I don't get where the gray area is in there. And I think that's where, my articulation when it comes to my audience comes across, because I only care the way you want me to. And I only care up to your level of expectation, because, I do want you to know that I care, but I can't curtail it to each person individually. So I try to send a message. The message isn't always warmly received and understandable. So like I said, maybe repackaging and rewording may be in order, but at the same time, is it something that we have to tailor fit to each individual person, or something different? That's where I get confused. Doc, if you can help me.
Well, but as a society, we've been moving more towards individualism. Everything's about me and I and individual. And people will even say, I don't care about those others. It's about what I'm talking about. And if we're very careful and not analyzing, but I'm a behavior, I'm into behaviors, human behavior. So I do analyze. And I recognize how many people actually work to groom us, to tailor, to make sure we fit in there. I was telling some guys the other day, they were telling me about these women they got with, and they did, and they did, and they did, and they did. And after I listened to all that, I said, it sounds like she fucked you. And they swear they were doing stuff. They swore up and down they were doing everything. But the reality is she set the parameters. They fell into it, but she set the parameters. Communication, I said when I'm available during this time, you can talk to me. Types of communication. Hold on. You raising your voice? I didn't mean, yeah. So that grooming, people do that more and more and more, expecting that for it to fit for them. And then it might even rob you of your individualism and your style and your method. But that works in my favor if you're one of those people. See, Mr. He said, please keep in mind, and I'm sure you heard this before, you're not easy to talk to, man. You put some shit out there that just make me not want to just, right? So I got to diffuse that. And one of the ways to diffuse it is to put you in my box. Like, come over to my arena, talk. Because if I come up with foolishness and you just give me that look like, wow, that's really special, and then I feel broken. So I think we do that more and more and more as a way to get our power back. Actually, the way to get the power up front. And if we don't get it on the front end, then we come up with some other stuff to get it on the back end. That's my belief.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, listen, we come up to final thoughts. I know there's a lot going on in the chat, and we definitely appreciate that. Pappy Planko TV is here. Thank you for swinging through. Christina Watts is. Oh, yes, sorry. Christina Watts is here. Thank you for swinging through. Much appreciated. Red Lipstick. Actually, I saw Red Lipstick Vibes here earlier, so my apologies. I didn't give you the shout out. And I know that Me Have Donut had said something about the movie. What was it? Hink? What was that movie?
Hitch. Yeah, Hitch.
Hitch. Yeah. The percentages about what communication is, how much people actually listen. 90% ain't about the words that we choose. Yep. 30% is tone. 60% body language. I agree with those numbers. Actually, I say it's higher on the body language because there's a lot that's being said without even realizing it. Facial expression, hands, blah blah blah. And we don't even realize it. So final thoughts on what it takes. We just go through the line here. What it takes to have and maintain resilient relationships, and what we talked about tonight. Any final thoughts for our listeners out there? What are you taking away, and what would you like to leave? Also, drop your information about where we can find you, what you're doing out there in the YouTube streets, and how we can support you. Whoever wants to go first.
Oh man.
First.
The topic was awesome. Resilience is something our people know all too well. Let's not forget that. It's very important. We have overcome so many things. And in relationships, it's a must. And I think that's where our elders steered us wrong. They didn't educate us on what the work looks like. What does that entail? And the lack thereof of us females educating our younger youth about their bodies and their reproductive system. I am hard on that because I think if they knew more, they would love themselves so much more because we are so magical and we're equipped with some great tools. And to get to adulthood and they don't know shit, it's amazing to me because I'm educating women in their 40s and 50s and 60s about hormonal fluctuation. And, our young people need to know. So, let's keep educating. Let's keep building and try to have these conversations without the bullshit. I appreciate you, BMU. I appreciate you, Doc, LIT, Queen. This was awesome. I appreciate you guys for real.
Queen, it's on you, Queen.
I was sure waiting, King. You know how y'all do. One speaks, I'm like, okay, I'm waiting to do a double dutch. Like, let me wait for the king to get done. But I got you. I appreciate it. I believe it starts with your person. You know what I'm saying? As long as y'all two have the same understanding or somewhat on the same path with it, then communication will fall into place because y'all are steady working on it. That's something that's part of y'all plan. And just steady every day planning on what y'all foundation is gonna be. Like just not keeping it basic. The sky's the limit. What are y'all gonna work on next? What are we gonna do? Always having a plan and always spending time. That's what I think on top of the communication, because communication is the key.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This was great. Always a pleasure, Doc. Thank you for having us. Lit, always a pleasure, sir. You know that. Queen, was a pleasure. I'm gonna be real quick. One day at a time, Doc. I think that resilience is, starts with one day and it leads to every day. And that's what leads to a fruitful, long-lasting relationship. We've been together over 25 years, but that started one day. And every day I am very purposeful. She's very purposeful and intentful. And, 25 years is 9,212 days. And that's because I love this woman. From the first day she walked up to me, no matter how many people think I'm so lucky, she walked up to me in the club. I didn't know her from a hole in the wall. So she might be a little lucky too. Just a little bit lucky she is too. But no, that intentfulness, man, like Alcohol's Anonymous, is one day at a time, and it's Monday and Tuesday. It's not anniversary. It's not birthday. It's not the wedding day. It's Monday and Tuesday when those dishes is in the sink, when that bathroom is dirty, when there's clothes on the floor. Those are the days we love each other a lot, because those are the days that are going to happen more than the other days. So that's what we do, man. We are very intentful, and we think that you can be resilient, but it all starts with one day. So, every day love up on somebody, be thankful for the person that you got. Be thankful for the person you're going to get. But I think that intention, that consciousness, that love, that consideration is what makes a long lasting relationship and what builds resilience.
Awesome. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. I don't have those sounds where nice.
I got
Thank you. Yes, yes. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Queen. Thank you, Mrs. She Said. Thank you, Mr. He Said. Lost in translation. What are your thoughts?
To piggyback off what Mr. Harris said and Mrs. Harris said, I wanted to let everybody know that sometimes, like Marianne Williams has said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And I think what happens is that power comes with responsibility. And sometimes when that responsibility is thrust upon us, we may feel like we're not ready for it. So with that being said, take each and every day to get just a little bit better. You don't have to do it all in one day. And I think we need to give ourselves a little grace from time to time. You're not always going to get it right, and you're not always going to get it wrong, but you can always learn from each and every interaction. We can always get a little better at communication. We can always get a little bit better at empathy, but just do it day by day and take each opportunity to get better at communication. So with that being said, if you arm yourself with those tools, your communication will be so good that your relationship will be able to withstand a lot of pressures that the world throws on us. And also sometimes when we throw on ourselves. I can be reached on Sundays, Super Sundays on my channel. I can also be reached on Mondays on Humble Dad's channel. I can also be reached on Tuesday on Black Man Unfiltered's channel. And sometimes on Thursday on Black Man Unfiltered's channel, whenever he needs me. And especially you can find me on the barbershop on Friday nights at 8:30. So if you guys want to find out where I am, I'm almost always on this thing all the time. So if you guys want to, hang out, have a conversation, I would love to. Doc, I want to thank you for allowing us to come on tonight and to share exactly what was on our hearts and our minds. And I appreciate you and Black Men Unfiltered giving us the opportunity and the platform to have those deeper conversations that we probably need to have from time to time. And I appreciate everything that you do. Thank you so much for having me this evening.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. I'm going to resist the urge to mess that up. People mess up a wet dream by talking too much. So I am not going to mess up what you said. I love it. I love it. I love it what each and one of you had to say. Please check out Mr. Harris on Saturdays on his channel. Mrs. Harris with No Shame or Shame Sundays on Sunday. Please check out her channel. Both you can catch them on YouTube or Facebook. Please subscribe or like their channels. As Lost in Translation just mentioned where he's at. Queen, I think the last time we talked, you were actually supporting candles and some drives. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
No, still supporting standard edition women.
Standard edition women?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my baby. That's it. So I give me a
okay.
What y'all doing? Y'all are truly inspirational. So I might be on here Sunday through Thursday too, King.
Nice. Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. This was truly wonderful, and thank you for allowing me to meet new people.
Oh, you bet. These are the icons in the GOAT Black Man Network here. We definitely have queens and kings up here, and people giving the word. Our chat. Thank you. You are on fire. Beautiful animated Lady Navoa. Thank you for managing and doing what you do behind the scenes there in the chat. We salute you for that. Greatly appreciated all that came through. Thank you for being here and the support and the love and the conversation. If you have additional comments, please leave them on after the replay. Leave them on the wall. If you have additional ideas or suggestions for conversations for Coach K and I to have, please leave it there. Coach K and I actually want to be able to go to your platforms as well and have these conversations. Doesn't always have to be coming over to our side of the street. We're willing to come to yours. We'll double park out there and come on in to the show and get in it with you. That is not a problem. Please also think about what can you do this week to manage your mental health? What can you do to make sure someone doesn't rob you of your safe space in your head? What can you do to make sure that you are living proper according to what's good for you and what's good for your family? Because what you do will impact 3 generations ahead. What you do has the potential to impact 3 generations ahead. And so always keep that in mind. We love you for being here. Thank you, BMU. Thank you, CBN and Alexis from Texas for working in the backgrounds. We greatly appreciate you doing what you do. We are out of here. Peace, everyone. Take care.
Adios.